Chapter 3. The Storekeeper, Apolodia the Laconia, American Dipper. One of the liveliest, prettiest, merriest, and, to judge from appearance, the happiest little animal one meets with in northwestern wilds is a tiny squirrel known and feared by the Indians, who have a name for it. Unpronounceable by the mouth of ordinary confirmation, and to attempt writing is only to give it a long list of double and single letters. The type pattern for spelling Indian words, for example, cha-a-ta-a-la-cha. What can you make of that? Corkscrew the word out, giving it whole throat sounds and tongue twisting. You can manage and it has a little resemblance to the name, as rolled out from the larynx of an Indian, as the wheeze of a bagpipe has to the clear, rich, mellow note of a mockingbird. To the scientific world, my furry friend is known as Tamias. Tamias being Greek for storekeeper, the generic title. The specific name tells us that he has 4 stripes, or ribbons, marking his skin. The Missouri striped squirrel is the familiar appellation of the white settler. The ogress squirrel of the savage. Why he is so named will be shown in sequel. The specific characters are briefly: tail quite as long as the body, gray stripe along the top of the head, joining 2 others passing below the eyes, a hoary patch behind the ears, general color deep burgess red, back marked with 4 equidistant stripes, nearly black, extending from the neck to the tail, length 4 inches without the tail, incisors strong and deep orange color on the outer surface. On each side of the mouth is a large pouch, opening just interior to the molar teeth and extending back to the shoulder. In these capacious sacs, seeds, bits of favorite roots, indeed anything either eatable or storable is carried to the storekeeper's residence. The pouches are filled from the mouth, the 4 feet being used much the same as hands to press the cargo back and tightly pack it. When emptying them, the 4 feet are again called into their requisition, placed behind the corpulent bags. The contents are pressed out by kneading, a kind of movement, where a more striking evidence of divine wisdom and forethought. But for these leather bags, it would be utterly impossible for this little animal to carry in a store of provisions sufficient for his winter supply. He does not sleep like the rock whistler and live on his own fat, but only partially hibernates, and hence needs a stock of food, with which he provides himself during the sunny summer days. His mansion is usually under a fallen tree or amidst a tangled roots of giant pines. A small burrow, neatly dug and round as an argue hole, leads in a slanting direction to an open cavity nearly lined with dry leaves, blades of grass, and moss. A bed soft as elder down, wherein the storekeeper sleeps. An adjoining opening on a kind of earthen shelf in his store, nearly piled away, to be carefully forwarded, until the biting blast of winter sweeping through the forest, stripping land and tree alike of their verdure, warm and the provident workman to retire into his snug quarters, not to shiver, cold and hungry, until springtime comes and bids the flowers ope their blossoms and the buds burst into leaf. Not a bit of it. His industry has provided not only a snug residence, but food in abundance to supply his daily necessities. A garrison in which he can defy rain, frost, and snow, and bide his time until the Ice King yields his scepter to the genial ruler of the summer. This squirrel seems to live everywhere, wander around the margin of emerald green prairie, and there, amidst the hazel Mohuenia, vine maple, and various shrubs that love the sunshine, the storekeeper is sure to be seen, skipping along on a dead stick or cutting through the bushes, stopping continually to have a peep at the intruders, sitting bolt upright with its tail erected, defiantly chattering angrily in a kind of half laugh, half bark, then uttering a shrill chirp, a danger signal to others, then makes it for its hole and disappears. Paddle in a canoe down the surging stream past the piles of driftwood, heaped mountains of dead trees, and as the frail bark shoots by you, you are certain to see the storekeeper scampering from log to log, his scolding and whistling lost in the noisy rush of the torrent. Dive into the dark shadow of the pine forest where moldy life hold high festival, where huge fungoid growths and giants like Garrick spring in flabby clusters from the oozy logs, where the pools thick and slimy are covered with green fleshy leaves of the skunk cabbage, and each branch and spray draped with black lichen, seem mourning over death and decay on every side. In these damp solitudes lived the storekeeper. Merry and quarrelsome as in the brighter scenes, climbed the mountainside and scrambled through the rock-filled ravine, where the pine clings to stones rather than grows from their clefts, where no murmuring streamlet cools and refreshes thirsty nature or breaks the solemn silence with its rippling music, and not even the footfall of the savage disturbs its echoes, and not living save the denizens of the air that peep into its weird depth from the treetops and ever visits it. Yet in the very loneliest of these glens, the storekeeper is sure to be met with. Climb on higher, higher to the perpetual snow line, marking the boundary betwixt life and icy desolation, and there too, on the icy frontier, he bounds and jumps from rock to rock, ever scolding, laughing, whistling, and toiling to garner his harvest. Two of them, husband and wife, took up their abode in this old saw pit close to our winter quarters at Fort Colville, and there constructed a nest during the month of July for the mamas to bring forth and rear her offspring in. I carefully watched from day to day, with the exception of an occasional scolding. They took little heed of my presence. A hollow place was first cleared under one of the cross timbers of an old saw pit. Them both worked hard, bringing blades of dried glass, leaves, and moss. I observed they carefully collected fragments of rag and pieces of paper left by the sawyers. So, to gratify the taste for the use of novel materials, I brought out continually small bundles composed of colored threads, rags, paper fragments, scarlet cloth, and small portions of gold and silver lace from my fishing tackle stock. All these were greedily seized on and woven into the nest, which, when completed after about 16 days' work, presented the most extraordinary appearance of manageable. Such a nuptial nest no squirrel ever had before, or perhaps will ever have again. I'm sure they were proud of their achievement and deemed it the triumph of squirrel architecture. The family, in due time, came into the world, but any attempt to approach the nest was resented so furiously, yet combined with such evident terror for the safety of their babies, that I had not the heart to gratify my curiosity, see how many there were and what they were like. They were nearly 3 weeks past when the love of prying overcame all other scruples, and a peep into a snug, cozy, checkered retreat was irresistible. Separating with the utmost caution the walls of the entrance hole, 3 baby squirrels were visible. Such queer little animals, they seemed all eyes and tail. The papa and mama were both loud in their remonstrances and frightfully angry at the impertinent intrusion, but as I did not touch the infants, and as far as practical mended the torn entrance, why, it appeared to me that there was not much ground for complaints. Visiting my pets on the following day, imagine my surprise at finding the nest empty, and the old and young vanished together. First I thought some poaching weasel had murdered the innocents, but no, the old ones had carried them away into some other retreat, because I had looked at them and meddled with the nest. Instinct here and appears vastly near akin to reason. What has happened once, the storekeeper evidently thought might occur again, and wisely took the cautionary measure of concealment, selecting a spot unknown to the intruder.